Okay, I've put off doing chores as long as I could this morning. We woke up to temps of -17, wind chills quite a bit lower than that. I've put off as late as I can, so it is currently -10, feels like -24. We don't have a lot of wind in our area here, so we do have that blessing. If you get outside the farm and you're in the wind, that's when you're going to feel that. Feels like -24, but I figured on a bitter cold day like today here in South Dakota, we've always tried to educate quite a bit on what we do for keeping our horses warm in this weather. So I thought I'd just do a quick video as we do chores. A lot of people will argue about what the most important thing is for horses to keep warm, but we think the number one thing that's most important is hay. You can't have one without another. You can't just give them hay and think that's good enough, but hay is the most important thing. They should have unlimited hay. The process of digesting in their hind gut creates an inner warmth, so they stay warm. So they need that hay to just eat all that they need to eat. Our horses in this bitter cold snap will easily eat 50 pounds a day each, when they average 20 to 25 a day normally. But we figure they need to eat that to keep warm. So every horse in the property has unlimited hay at the moment. We put in extra round bales. We filled up the hay baskets with twice as much as we normally do. And we just make sure that they have everything they need to eat. Where we live, it is normal to buy a year's worth of hay at once. So we always have a massive amount of hay on hand to feed everybody. It does cost us about anywhere from $2,000 to $3,000 a month for our hay bill. So if you want to help keep everybody fed and warm, there's a link in the description on how you can contribute to our monthly hay bill. Water is extremely important when it's cold, and we do have heated water for everybody. We have automatic waterers in a couple of paddocks, but if we don't, the places that don't have them yet do have troughs with heaters in them, so they have open water, fresh and clean. We did fill them to the top right before this cold snap started. We're hoping to get through the whole snap without it, so that it is we don't have to deal with hoses. But we do bring the hoses inside. We have hoses that come into the house to stay thawed, and then they come out here and we fill up water as quickly as they can. And that's something to think about. Some of the easier to use hoses, like the expandable ones, can be a little too narrow and they will freeze from between the water from the hydrant to where they go if you don't have enough air pressure or water pressure. So you got to be really, really on top of what you use. That doesn't mean we're carrying heavier hoses around, but we'd rather have them inside and thawed so it's easy to water than frozen solid and not having water. Even with automatic waterers and heated troughs, you cannot just set them and forget them. We do check them twice a day, make sure they are not frozen over and they have water fully running in them. Things happen there. You can break a fuse, or a breaker can trip. They can freeze underground. All sorts of things can happen. So you have to make sure that there's water at all times. Really, that's not how you drink. Winnie says, hello, I'm cold. You're not actually cold. Her hair, you can see her hair is standing up straight, so it's insulating her, but she's actually on the edge of cold. I'll be watching her to see if she needs a blanket. But we are warming up, so she should be okay. As I said earlier, they have unlimited hay, so she can just keep eating. When we first wrote an article on common sense cold management about 10 years ago, we forgot to put one of the most common sense things because we thought it went without saying, and that was shelter. We've had to be creative this year with shelter, but every paddock has a 3-sided man-made shelter. Theirs is, as you can see, that open spot in the back. This paddock was fenced last year, so it will not have access to that after this year, but we have not yet been able to put shelters in either side, so we had to be creative. Hi, Bo, blanket. We had to build a bit of an alley so that this paddock here has access to that shelter, and then this team, for this water, the herd up front here has all the gates open to both paddocks. There's a 3-sided run-in shelter in the front. Most of these guys come to stalls at night. And then there's an automatic waterer back here. So we just decided to leave the gates open between them. So they basically have 2 paddocks, and they have access to unlimited heated water and unlimited shelter, and a round bale, even though a large amount of these guys can't actually eat round bales. While not necessarily a necessity, my sister, we did plan ahead a little bit, obviously, but because today is going to be super bitter cold, my sister put buckets of grain for the morning grain out when she did night chores, so I do not have to be out here any longer than I need to. I can dump and go. I don't have to scoop. I don't have to be prepared. It's all here waiting for me, and it will increase my speed for chores immensely. And a final step that we do to help keep the horses warm is blankets. Now, this is obviously controversial, but in our opinion, horses are all individuals. They have different metabolisms, different ability to heat themselves. There's no one thing fits all. I can tell I'm getting cold. My lips are stopping to work. So we go by the horse. If they're older, if they're skinny, if they're a breed like a thoroughbred that tends to not keep themselves as warm, they get a big, heavy blanket. So, 38-year-old Shadow, she has a blanket. Thomas here had pneumonia earlier this year and has some health issues, so he has a blanket. Buddy is 35, our thoroughbred. As we come outside to this crew, you have only a few of them have blankets on, because like Vanessa here stays plenty warm and she has hay and she's healthy, but Sully is like 30, he does not. So it's all an individual preference, but we do have enough blankets for everybody. And if it was to stay extended cold for a long time, we would be out checking. I think last year we had a cold snap that lasted for several days, and it was like 30 below regular temps. And we started with the standard 15 or so in blankets. And by the end of it, I think all but like 2 horses on the property had blankets on. So, it's one of those, there is no one size fits all when it comes to blankets. You just have to know the horse. You have to know the signs. How do you know if a horse is cold? Well, they're shivering. They might not be shivering. They might be past the point of shivering, which is dangerous. We check behind their leg at their body, where their leg joins their body. We check that for if they're warm there, they're probably warm. If they're cold, they're cold. Some people will check their ears. You can kind of tell by their attitude. A lot of times the thoroughbreds in general tend to get kind of silly. They get it's like their brains aren't working. We take that as a sign they're probably cold. Sometimes they'll get lethargic and depressed. So you just kind of have to know the horse. But, if they're shivering with or without snow on their back, you probably want to throw a blanket on. If they're wet, they're going to get colder faster. So as long as the snow isn't melting, it'll typically keep them warm. But like Walter here in the back, he tends to get cold even with snow on his back. So people will tell you, if they've got snow on their back, they're fine. They can't go by that. You have to check the horse itself and make sure it is not in distress. Make sure that it is keeping itself warm. And if not, if you've done everything you can, give it unlimited hay, dry them off, get a blanket on. You need to do everything you can to keep them warm. Even the goat gets blankets. Goats tend to be colder. They tend to struggle with the cold more than some animals. So we found a mini blanket that actually fits her this year. So she has a goat blanket under it plus a mini blanket. And if it's super, super ugly out, she stays in a smaller pen with Kiwi and doesn't have to run around. But for the most part, we like them to have a normal life. Hi, puppies. Even the dogs and cats have to be thought of. So while these Pyrenees do well in the cold, during these very bitter nights, they are spending them inside. We have 11 barn cats. Currently, 9 of them are living inside. The other 2 never come inside. They're living in the hay barn. They're probably warmer than us. But these guys have been outside for a while, so I'm going to put them in the house while I finish up chores. Hi, puppies. It's crazy how they are made for this weather. How's your water, guys? Is it open? A little bit of ice on top. That's from the wind, but they're able to break through pretty quickly. This water is now 5 years old, so we may have to consider replacing the heating element because we've noticed ice a few times. You can break it with your hoof. You can break it with your nose. But yeah, like I said, we check their water. How you doing, Nelson baby? How you doing, Nelson baby? You staying warm? Are ya? You looking good. Yeah, you're so fuzzy. Are you happy, baby? Come say hi. Give kisses. Mwah. He's so cute. So cute. This one's being a nuisance. Knowing your herd helps a lot, so you can take a good look at the herd, see if you think anybody's in trouble. Make sure you get eyes on everybody. When scanning a herd like this, there is one horse that got my concern. Has me taking a check on her. If you scan this quick, see if... Oh, sorry, slipped on some ice. See if you can guess which horse I'm concerned about. And put in the comments why you think I might be concerned. If you guess Sienna, you're wrong. I'll move out a little bit, get it back to one. I'm not concerned about Sienna. Yes, she's laying down, but she has friends with her. If you're concerned about the one by the shelter, nope, he does that by himself. The one I'm concerned about is actually this one. And I'm only concerned about her because she's by herself and she was laying fully, like, curled up this morning. She seems to be fine, although, Lucy, I don't know why you still have a halter on. You don't require a halter. Oh, it's June, that's why. So I was concerned about June just because she was kind of off by herself and kind of curled up, but she seems to be fine, and that is her friends right there. So I'll keep an eye on her. I might make her get up here. If she's warm and comfy, I don't want her to get up. But the fact that she was off by herself and just looked kind of curled up in a ball, I had to come make sure she was okay. Even the Mustangs are doing okay in this weather. They were in Nevada up until January, so we were a little concerned about that. But you can see on his how his coat is standing straight up. That's to give him a little more insulation, to trap more air near his body surface. So it's keeping him warm. Obviously, being basically unhandled, they can't wear blankets. So that is why we chose to put them in a fully enclosed building when they first came in. Not just that, and because for safety reasons, they need special fencing and stuff. Mustangs do. Hi, ozone. So we're hoping after this bitter cold snap, it should start warming up well. So we're going to move them into a bigger pen near our round pen that attaches to our round pen. We're no longer concerned about them jumping out of the fencing, so we're going to move them into there and be able to bring them one at a time into the round pen and work with them now that it's going to start to warm up. Really, ozone? I think you've been getting a few too many treats. As you can see there, they've gotten pretty friendly. We have hay and we have unfrozen warm water.